So I made this. And by made this, I don't mean I collaborated with an agency on this. Everything in this, aside from the print, is made from scratch by me. Here is what I learned. I venture to say that everyone who really likes cooking at one point thought to themselves, I should make a cookbook. Or wouldn't it be nice to have my own cookbook? I did too. And because I had plenty of time, access to publishing software and a lot of, dare I say, nice food pictures, I thought I'd just do that. At first I published a couple of recipes in a sort of digital magazine because the publishing software that I got came with a template for that. Couple that with a few people that wanted to make the things that I took photos of, and you had a reason to make something. While I liked the template that I got, it was nice enough and was easy to fill in, it never made me think, that's what I want. So instead of publishing multiple small magazines that I wasn't completely happy with, I just thought I'd make it myself. I had the photos of recipes handy already, so all I had to do was make a nice cover and design a bit on the inside. Couldn't be that hard to do, could it? Well, about that. I had pretty clear ideas of what I wanted. Modern, minimalistic, geometric patterns, white font on black background. With that in mind, I got to work. In my mind it was best to start with some master pages that I could use and modify to my liking. So I created a master page, changed the background from white to black, and then stared at a blank page for a while. It's one thing to imagine a cookbook in your head exactly how you want it. But how do you go from a blank page to that page you have in your mind? With difficulty, I can tell you that much. Let's start with the pattern that I wanted on the edge of the side opposite the picture. How do you do that? I dabbled in Photoshop a bit, but Designer was a completely foreign field to me. But it's not like I had a choice at that point, so I started up Designer, created a blank page and stared at that for a while. That was a repeating pattern in case you hadn't noticed. When you work with an agency, there's always someone that has knowledge of how to do exactly that through experience or years of study. But I didn't have that. I didn't study design or photography or anything for that matter. All I had was 3 programs, determination, lots of time, and coffee. From all of that, I thought I would manage just fine. Well, after a couple Google searches and a tutorial, I had a page border design. And I hated it. So scrap that and start again. Eventually I had one that I was happy with, but wait, now you need small graphics for the general information. Serving size, origin, time, difficulty. How do you do that? All of this was a very learning by doing and as you go process. Following tutorials only does you so much good. You end up with a graphic that you might like, but it's not your own. You just copied someone else's work that they were kind enough to explain. But it was still valuable to do because it taught you how to use the program. Once I had all my designs, I placed them on the page, and through that it wasn't difficult, it was easy actually. Once I had all my graphics, I arranged them on the page, and through that it was easy enough to figure out where the writing would be placed. But that made me face my next issue. Fonts. Arial won't do and Times New Roman looks like ours, so onwards to find one that was clean, modern, and most importantly, free to use in all applications. After that was done, I created a nice pool of master pages that I could vary between, and then it was on to writing. For writing I had 2 things prepared. I had my photos ready, so my recipes were practically laid out for me, and because I hate cookbooks and recipes that drone on about the chef, their life and their pets, I promised I wouldn't do that. I would get straight to the point and leave out all the bullshit. So with that established, writing the recipes must have been a breeze, no? Well, no, actually it wasn't. It's one thing to know the recipes from memory and cook them for yourself and others. When you cook, you usually eyeball it, but you can't do that with a cookbook. You can't write use 1 cabbage, because then some people would use this cabbage, and other people would use cabbage this big. You have to write in measurements, at least for the main ingredients. I settled on writing those, but for the spices I just told you which ones to use and then season to taste. Sure, I could write in 8 grams of salt or 1 tablespoon of paprika and then people would make it exactly how I would, but that's not how this works. Some days I wanted more spicy, some days I wanted less spicy. It's all up to your own taste. And writing in season to taste has an educational purpose as well. I give you the tools to use, you do it how you want it. I approach most... ich hasse Englisch. Englisch ist so eine Dreckssprache, ich schwöre bei Gott. As for the instructions themselves, I wanted to put in a decent bit of humor. I approach most things in life with humor or sarcasm, so I certainly wouldn't make my cookbook that serious if it was up to me. Naturally, I had to stay on track and only put in the occasional joke or reference. Eventually, I had all my recipes written down. I had my table of contents, my pages, my entry, my closing, everything. And now it was on to proofreading. If you plan to do something similar, when you think to yourself, that'll do, read through it again, trust me. I proofread mine 4 times and had my girlfriend read through it again as well, and still it was published with errors. Some simple spelling mistakes, but others far more important. Because of a formatting error, one recipe was printed without the key ingredient without which it doesn't work at all. In the German version, which I translated myself, it was the same thing. You would think that writing in my native language would result in fewer spelling mistakes, and pushing the text through 3 different grammar checkers would eliminate the rest. But no, when my girlfriend corrected that one, she still caught some. And again, neither of us noticed that the title of a dish was misspelled, which you think wouldn't happen. So my advice here is, if you think you're done, read through it again and catch everything in it. Ich hab das Mikro gehittet. Scheiße. Agencies have a dozen people that all read each other's works, but you don't have that. The more eyes you have, the better. Once you finally did all the work, designed your book from start to finish, the cover, the text, sorted out all the formatting errors that Kindle throws at you, it's time to publish. But what about the cost? You want your work to be worth something to you, no? In my case, I published a hardcover book with 125 pages, which retails for 25 euros in Germany. And even I think that is a steep price, especially from a chef that you know nothing about and isn't even a chef in the first place. So surely if it sells for 25 euros, I make a decent bit of cash from it. Ha! Fuck no. I make 2 euros per sold copy. Printing alone is 12 because I publish in color. If you self-publish a book, unless you go for quantity over quality, by which I mean plain text in black and white, you'll be making peanuts from it. So in summary, I have to ask myself 3 questions. What did I learn? Was it worth it? Would I do it again? Well, what did I actually learn? I taught myself designer and publisher. I'm by no means an expert, but I know enough to publish a book that I'm happy with. Happy enough, at least. I learned to set myself realistic goals and stick to them, something that is extremely valuable for self-employed people, but also in general. I didn't stay up well into the night working non-stop for 18 hours. I set myself a number of pages I would do in a day, and I did those. No more, no less. Once I finished the pages, even if I wanted to continue, I didn't. I switched to playing games, doing household chores, cooking, whatever else. I didn't work again. Going beyond the pages I set myself in a day would have encouraged the thinking of, this is so much fun, I should just do a bit more, which is nice to have in the moment, but not a good mindset to approach work in general. Was it worth it? From a financial standpoint, definitely not. As of recording this, I haven't made back the money it cost me to buy the programs and my author copies. But from my point of view, the experiences I made and the skills I learned more than make up for the financial hit I took. Designer, publisher and photo are all incredibly good programs to know, and learning to set myself realistic goals and sticking to them is incredibly valuable. Also, I think being able to design my own book from start to finish isn't a bad thing to put on your resume, even if it didn't do me any good until now. If you're hiring, call me. Would I do it again? I would. Without a shadow of a doubt, I would again. I learned so much doing it the first time, and even if it was frustrating at times, I had a great time doing it. All of it was amazing fun, and if I have enough material to make another one, I will definitely make another one. Not for the money, because I don't make any from it. Just for the ability to say, I made this. All of this. Thanks. Ich bin raus. Peace. Gut, dass dann Bett ist.